I'm Heather.
And I'm Desiree.
And you're listening to
the Perpetually Overdue Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Perpetually Overdue Podcast. I am Desiree.
And I'm Heather.
And this week, we're bringing back a fan favorite, and that is another Am I the Asshole blind reaction.
I like how you said the asshole. Not just am I the asshole, am I the asshole?
I mean, it seems very appropriate because more times than not, there's definitely an asshole in these stories.
Yes, and it's usually never the person that's asking the question.
Correct.
If they're the asshole or not.
Which, who knows, maybe we'll get lucky this time and actually find some where it's like, no, I'm sorry, sweetie, you are the asshole.
I wish. I would really like to get one like that.
That would be fun. That would be fun. So, shall we just jump right in?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
So, as usual, we've only seen these titles. We have absolutely no idea what the content of these stories are. So, for all we know, we might start reading it and regret that this is ones we've chosen, but we'll see. So, because of how Heather and I grew up, if you've been listening, you know we come from a religious background and have all the fun trauma to go along with it. So when I personally saw the title of this, I was like, I don't know what this is about, but we have to read it. So number one is, am I the asshole for getting a woman fired over Veggie Tales? Do you remember Veggie Tales?
I do, but I'll have to admit, I never admitted this back then because it was one of those things. Do you ever have a moment like in high school or some friendship group where everybody was watching something or everybody was doing something?
SpongeBob for me.
And you weren't?
SpongeBob for me.
And people would talk about it and you would just kind of keep quiet. Like you knew about it, but you never really watched it. And then you just didn't want to admit that because it was like, oh, how have you never watched Veggie Tales before? But I was like, I don't know, because it wasn't until high school that I got into church and Veggie Tales is a kid thing.
Oh man, it was funny because I remember how much you used to quote SpongeBob, and I was always just like, yeah, ha, 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 ha.
Still to this day, I got Nick into SpongeBob now.
Veggie Tales, the only reason that's basically an older teen that I gave in was because the songs were kind of fun and catchy. So there was Barbara, manatee, 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 you're the one for me. I remember this shit.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for people who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, because when you are a Christian or in some sort of religious organization, your world is the size of a pinhead. It is very small. And everybody in your world has a lot in common for obvious reasons. Yeah. So it's hard to imagine a world in which there are a ton of people out there, and I know that there are, that have no fucking clue what Veggie Tales is.
It's weird because, exactly, we're so used to growing up in that bubble, we assumed since everyone in our world knew it automatically.
Yeah.
I forget, probably 8 out of 10 people listening to this will never know what the hell we're talking about.
So Veggie Tales is a Christian cartoon, we'll just say that. And it's called Veggie Tales because all of the characters were vegetables. And it was to teach you about Christian principles and Christian morality and stories in the Bible and things like that. And it was very popular. Yeah. Very popular in our generation. I don't know if it still is.
I don't know either. I will say, I think what they did right was they made ridiculous songs that were for children, but it also appealed to older people because of how ridiculous they were. I remember one was like about a cheeseburger, like, you're my cheeseburger. Bah, 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 bah. Like, it was so dumb, but something about it.
Because they were earworms.
They were absolutely earworms. So anyway,
they would get into your head and never leave.
Exactly.
So there you go.
How did a woman get fired over Veggie Tales? Let's find out.
I can't wait.
Oh dear. My wife and I, unfortunately, have our son in daycare. Gosh, okay. It's unavoidable. A few months ago, I picked him up, and when I asked him about his day, he told me about a show they watched with cartoon vegetables. Okay, I think I know where this is going. When I dropped them off the next day, I asked the teacher if they watched Veggie Tales. She said they didn't show the kids anything inappropriate. I asked, but did they watch Veggie Tales? She refused to give me a straight answer. Because no. I said I don't want him to watch Veggie Tales. She said he wasn't going to be allowed to watch anything inappropriate. That's not the point.
Inappropriate is something that should be decided upon by the parent.
Yes.
Not by the daycare worker.
And at the end of the day, I'm guessing the issue is you're forcing your religion on my child who doesn't believe the same things.
You're trying to indoctrinate these children.
Exactly. That day when I got home, I asked, did you watch Veggie Tales? He did. I emailed the administration. They assured me no Veggie Tales. It is not an approved media to show the kids. Yeah, because unless it's a Christian daycare specifically.
Well, then talk to your worker.
Yeah, it has never and will never be shown. The next week I asked, did you watch Veggie Tales? Yep. I reached out again and am told maybe my son is confused. Oh, don't do that. Right.
Wow, they're gaslighting the shit out of them.
As, don't get me started on Christians. Anyway, so I wait a week, ask my boss if I can leave early. Ha ha ha. Walk past the receptionist. She told me to stop. Of course she did. But I didn't. Into the main room and boom, there it is. Veggie Tales. I took a picture.
What
Smart
the
man.
fuck?
I was given a warning for barging in. Fair, but the administration promised the Veggie Tales thing would be solved. The teacher had to take all the tapes home and she would not be able to bring in tapes ever again. Next week. Did you watch Veggie Tales? No, Dad. Great. Following week. Did you watch Veggie Tales? Yep. So I emailed again.
I would murder.
At this point, I start getting other people involved. The Anti-Veggie Tales Coalition.
Good for him.
Even some of the Christian parents were annoyed. Look at that.
Because, you know what? I'm going to save my...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One woman watches it at home with her daughter and said she didn't want it watched at daycare because if her daughter has questions, she wants to be asked, not the teacher. Nice. Great. Join the Anti-Veggie Tales Coalition. Last paragraph. The resolution was that the teacher got fired. Now there's a backlash against me. People feel bad. They feel guilty. It's all my fault. I pressured them into making it a big deal. They're just animated vegetables. They're just
animated vegetables.
We'll keep that. They're just animated vegetables. Even my wife said I pulled a me and went on the warpath. Absolutely not. Am I the asshole? No. Or should she have just left her animated vegetables at home?
First of all,
go ahead.
No.
I
think you said no already, so we're both saying no.
Yeah.
First, there's so many things.
So
many
much.
points.
Yes.
One, it is the responsibility of that daycare to check their employees. Yeah. And so if they're saying that Veggie Tales is not being shown, has never been shown, never will be shown, but a parent is saying that their child has watched Veggie Tales in the classroom, that they spoke to the teacher and the teacher was being extremely secretive and evasive. Thank you. It's their job to investigate further because all they would have to do is walk into that classroom and they would see the tapes there. Mm-hmm. We know based on the story that the tapes were in the classroom. Mm-hmm. They did not do that. And then they went way further and gaslit this parent saying that the child was confused, blaming it on their child, which I would have taken my kid out of that daycare immediately. Yeah. As soon as they did that, But I'm glad that he got the evidence that he did.
Yes.
Because, yes, while it may have been inappropriate for him to go storming into the classroom because there are other people's kids there, there was no way for him to have proof other than to do that because he believed his child. Yeah. And his child was telling the truth. And it's extremely inappropriate, not only for that teacher to force these kids to watch Veggie Tales and try to indoctrinate them, because it's not just vegetables. These are biblical stories and principles, and they directly talk about the Bible and about Jesus.
Yeah, they're not trying to be covert in masking, anyone will watch this, but deep down they're very outlandishly, this is a biblical cartoon show.
Exactly. And they're biblical stories. So not just that, you have no idea what this teacher is saying to your children. It's not just watching the show. She could be talking to them about it.
Yeah.
She could be telling them things and saying that these things are real, that it's not fictional, all of this stuff. And that's not her responsibility or job to do.
And I commended the Christian parent who even was like, I want to be the one to answer any of my kids' questions. I don't want this teacher. And this was a fellow Christian.
Religion is a serious thing. It shapes who you are as a person. It shapes your belief system. It is not something that should be left up to a teacher, a random daycare teacher, or random teacher, period. That is something that should be decided by the parent, whether or not they want their child to participate in these things.
Exactly.
Separation of church and state, bitches. And then on top of that, parents that started backpedaling after she got fired, grow a fucking backbone, okay? You are an adult. Nobody forced your hand to join this coalition to complain about the kids watching Veggie Tales. Like, just have a backbone and take responsibility for your own actions. Okay, you feel guilty that she got fired, but that's not on this guy. He didn't force your hand. He didn't force you to be a part of it. You chose to be a part of it because it was the right thing to do.
Yes.
And yes, while it sucks that this woman got fired, she fucked up.
Blatantly ignored over and over and over the complaint. She had no right in this matter to stand on what she did. Exactly.
The firing offense isn't that she wanted the kids to watch Veggie Tales. The firing offense is that after the father got proof and went to the daycare administration and they made her remove the tapes, she waited a specific amount of time. So this was strategic, and then brought them back so that the kids could watch them.
Exactly.
So she very clearly had intentions, because there are a bajillion children programs out there that you could have these kids watching. Why does it have to be Veggie Tales? That tells me that she had every intention of indoctrinating these kids. I think it's appropriate that she's fired. This woman shouldn't be around children. You don't get to decide what these kids that don't belong to you, what they are and are not going to believe.
Exactly. If that's what you want to do, then go to a Christian daycare. But I know what it was, because again, this is what we grew up on. So it was spreading the gospel and saving these children's souls at a young age. And in her mind, probably her and her church justified that she was doing this secretively, because at the end, it was more worth saving these kids' souls than doing the societal right thing in their minds.
Of course, because it's a cult mentality and it's manipulation. The means does not justify the end. I am so sorry, but that is not the situation here. First of all, these children, they're not old enough to make this decision. Okay? It's one thing if you want to tell them about these stories, if you want to introduce them to religion or the concept of religion. But again, that is up to the parents to decide. And even then, religion can be extremely oppressive if the child grows up and decides that they don't want to follow it. And then all of a sudden, they're ostracized from their family, from their friendship groups, from their community, because they decide that they want to believe otherwise.
And let's be real. There's the factor, which is why I know that even the Christian parent, why they felt the way they felt, because the reality is that even within all the Christianity denominations, there is so much hate and strife between them. Because I remember growing up and it was like the Baptists are evil and the Catholics are evil and the Pentecostals are not we're the ones. Us, the non-denominational evangelical, we're the only correct version of Christianity there is. The others are lost. They have the wrong version of Christianity. So within that, I can imagine even as a Christian parent, I don't know what type of Christian this teacher is. So exactly, who knows what version of Christianity is she telling the kids? Is she telling the kids, you're not allowed to wear pants if you're a female? You're not allowed to do this, or, because she's Pentecostal and maybe the parents are not. And it's so messy.
Yeah. Or traumatizing the children, talking to them about hell. Yeah. Before they're developed and can really even understand these fairy tale concepts, because that's what they are. But it's just the fact that she was so adamant about not answering the father, saying they're not watching anything inappropriate. You don't get to decide what is appropriate and inappropriate for my child. I get to decide that. And if I don't want my child watching this, then you need to respect that. To be honest, I do think that the result of this, I applaud that she should have been let go, because clearly she wasn't going to follow the rules. But also take your kid out of that fucking daycare.
Yes.
Because
I
the
mean, there
whole
could be
daycare needs
factors-
to be
there
thrown
could-
into the trash.
But there could be factors, financial availability factors.
No, it's true. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. But the whole daycare needs to be thrown into the trash because
Yes.
they did not
They
do a
backed
proper
her up.
investigation
Mhm.
and they backed her up. And the only reason why they fired her is because he got enough parents to complain about it.
Exactly.
But even with proof, they made her take the tapes home when she brought them back. You know what I mean? Like, it was what was going to be the consequence then. It wasn't until all the parents started complaining that then they were like, okay, we need to do something about this.
And I want to flick your wife's nose. Because you are not the asshole. You did not go on a war path.
No.
You did what was right for you and your child.
These years, especially in daycare, and we've learned, Desiree and I have learned because of being in therapy, how incredibly crucial these first years are of your child.
Yep.
You get to be a hovering psychotic parent if you want to, because your child is going to be unraveling the trauma years, decades from now that they endured in the first 5 years of their life.
Yes.
So if you want to be a helicopter parent, if you want to be a protective parent in the first 5 years of your child's life to ensure that they don't have trauma in their developmental years that is going to affect them for the rest of their life, potentially giving them mental health issues later down the line, disorders, physical health issues.
Yep.
More power to you, you know, as long as you're not abusing them or traumatizing them yourself. This is something that, again, it's not just the simple fact of that she was having them watch this. It's that you have no idea what she's saying to your kids. You have no idea how she's presenting this, if she's talking about it afterwards with them, what she's telling them, how it's affecting them. Like, it's not okay.
And to quickly add to what Heather said, literally just had this conversation with my therapist this week. She was explaining how, unlike animals, the first 3 to 5 years of our lives as infant, toddlers, children, we don't survive on our own. We heavily rely in every aspect on the parent to mold us and teach us. Whereas animals, she's like, a giraffe comes out of the mom and it knows what to do. There's an instinct. Animals know how to survive instantly out of their womb. Whereas a human, we fully rely on everything, learning everything from whoever's taking care of us, whoever's bringing us up. And so that's why even psychologically, we're sponges at those ages, because we're learning everything. We didn't come out with any instincts of survival that if you left us in a corner, we'd be okay. No, we wouldn't be okay. We need another human to mold us, teach us, guide us through those first 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
and granted, I have seen animals who have instant, not survival skills, because obviously the animal baby still needs the mother to protect it, especially if there's a predator and things like that. We don't have a natural predator except each other.
Yeah.
So it's not like that in terms of needing protection from predators who may try to eat us. But giraffes, they come out, horses, they come out and almost instantly start walking.
Yep.
What baby do you know comes out of the womb and instantly starts walking? I've seen baby alligators come out of their eggs, go into the water, instantly knowing how to swim. And not just that, this is Enchanted Forests on Disney Plus. This is not sponsored, but we like to watch nature documentaries on Sundays when we eat breakfast. But this baby alligator came out of its egg, went into the water swimming, and caught something to eat. I didn't even know that baby alligators hunted.
I didn't know either.
It caught like a little fish or something. And I was like, what the fuck?
Like, that's wild. That immediate instinct. How? That is.
Well, because it's a reptile. Like, a lot of mammals, the babies are feeding off their mother, like the milk of their mother.
Yeah.
Alligators are different. And so I was like,
wow.
Holy shit.
No,
but
and still, baby turtles, the fact that they know they need to try to make it back to the water. And like, no one taught them that. The mother wasn't there to show them.
No, the mother laid the egg, was like, deuces.
Bye. Good luck.
Hope you survive.
Survival of the fittest. Which one of y'all are actually gonna make it?
God, I hate that theory.
I know.
Anyway,
okay.
moving on. Next one. Am I the asshole for not letting my mother into my hotel room?
Oh,
This
God.
is going to be interesting.
You're
I
the
wonder if this
mother.
is a mother or a mother-in-law.
That's what
and
I
I
was
wonder if
wondering.
it's a son or like all of these factors matter. Okay,
Interesting.
ready?
Give it to me.
My mother and her boyfriend, oh God, already, told me I could come on vacation with them if I would watch the kids at night while they go out. Days would be mine under this arrangement. I knew they were lying, at least to themselves, but I agreed. That's your first mistake. I ended up watching all the kids the whole time, but it was still really fun. I had never been skiing before. It was great.
Okay.
While we were there, my mom and her boyfriend got into a huge argument. They booked their own room and a separate room for me with all the kids in it.
Oh, hell no.
Wow. So you just were a babysitter. That's it.
Mhm.
So we were all in my room, which was right next to theirs, but not adjoining.
Okay.
She started banging on the door and telling me to let her in. Her boyfriend came out into the hall and started arguing with her. Oh, God, making a scene. I didn't open the door. I didn't want either of them to come in, and I knew if I opened the door, both would. The cops showed up. At one point, they knocked on my door and asked if my mom was my mom. I said yes. They asked if I would let her in my room so they could keep her and her boyfriend separate. I asked if I had to, and they said no, because her name isn't on the room. I said I didn't want her in because I knew she would act crazy all night. What ended up happening out there after I closed the door was he got arrested, and she got to stay in their room alone. My mom is blaming me for this completely.
Oh, no.
This bitch is
No.
not.
Absolutely.
She said, if I let her in, oh God, okay, sorry. They both could have calmed down and nothing would have happened. She doesn't realize what she is like when she's drunk. Okay, that's new information. We didn't know she was drunk.
That makes it even the fact that it was bad if we thought she was sober. So even more so.
Yeah, this is... And then there's a bunch of...
There's
anyways,
children. Okay, yeah, I was waiting for you to finish.
Right. She tried to cancel the reservation for my room, but she's having trouble with it because they won't let her book a new room or have the kids in the room without a legal adult. I'm trying to figure out how to change my plane ticket. I don't blame you. I guess I'm just wondering if I was being an asshole, should I have just let her in? I know a lot of problems came from not letting her in. I know she paid for the room. Main reason she's pissed off, but she was acting crazy. You can take this one first.
Okay. Oof. Whew. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm trying to take... I'm trying to look at this especially from like a woman of color's mother, because as experience us, like women of color, Hispanic moms.
It don't matter, girl.
No,
wrong is wrong.
I agree. But I'm also just knowing if I didn't...
But we don't also know that she's a woman of color. Or
No. Of course. But I'm just thinking just all the possible factors and scenarios. But as a blanket statement, I think she's not the asshole, because here's the thing. If she was in the room by herself, that would have been a separate thing. She had all the children with her, and they are causing this drama out there. I mean, granted, I wouldn't have wanted to be a part of any of it, period.
No,
but I think that because especially the children were in the room, to protect them from the drama they could clearly hear outside, they would have brought that into the room. That could have gotten ugly. Just no. Absolutely no. And he got his own damn self arrested. That was not her fault.
110%. I cannot stand women that are pick-me's like this. So much so that they choose their significant other over their own children. If you are going to take the time to birth a child and raise it, then you should be in that child's corner at all times. Of course, within reason, because if the child is wrong, that's one thing. But the fact that he got arrested for domestic violence, I'm assuming, or maybe disorderly conduct.
They wouldn't have arrested him if he was just being loud. And
no, if it was just a matter of that, then they would have arrested her mom too.
exactly. So he
Or
clearly
their mom,
did
because
something.
I don't know the gender
I don't
of
know
this
either.
person,
Yeah.
but there clearly maybe was signs of abuse. Maybe she had marks on her body. Like, that's getting way personal
Yeah.
and maybe information that this person didn't really want to get into or
Mm.
share. But the point is that the cops made the decision to arrest him. There was a reason for that. He may have been belligerent. If they were drunk, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he got aggressive with the police. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Okay. And the police are not perfect either. Trust
No,
me. I'm
no.
not a fan of police.
Same.
But in this situation, you need to protect yourself
Yeah.
and you need to protect the kids in the room.
And that's another thing. Sorry. To letting
No, go
two
ahead.
drunk people who are arguing in with a bunch of kids, even more so, I would not absolutely have opened the door. I'm like, and
No.
if he especially got to the point that his drunken behavior got him arrested, God knows what could have happened if any of those kids spoke or intervened or anything. Like, it
Or
was
just witnessing two belligerently drunk people arguing
Yeah.
is traumatic enough. Who knows what these kids have seen, because they're
Yeah.
obviously their kids.
Yeah.
So who knows what they've already experienced. I don't think any of that needs to be added onto for these kids. My thing is, you fucked up from the beginning by going on this trip, period. Because you know who your mother is.
Yeah.
You know what kind of relationship she has with her boyfriend. And you already knew that they were going to make you babysit the entire time, regardless of what they were saying. You clearly need boundaries, and you need boundaries fast. Because while I'm glad this was a fun trip for you, obviously it turned into a not so fun trip when this whole thing happened. And then your mom is lashing out at you when you were the one that was doing her a favor. Regardless of whether she paid that room or not, she would have paid way more money having somebody take care of her kids while her and her boyfriend were off skiing. One, because you're not getting paid for this. The room is the payment. And I'm sick and tired of people thinking that just because you're family, you owe them your services, your time, your energy. No. Okay,
Absolutely
like
not.
if you would have had to hire somebody or lug these kids around with you everywhere you would have gone, it would have affected your trip. So your daughter was doing you a favor by doing this for you and not complaining that you lied to her or them, saying that they would get the days off when that was not the case.
Nope.
And then had the audacity to try to cancel the room. And you're not even upset that they didn't let you in because maybe something happened to you. Like maybe he hit you or whatever. You got upset he got arrested.
Exactly.
Which again is the biggest fucking pick-me energy ever.
Yes.
Because he is a grown man. He should have known better. Y'all both should have known better. You shouldn't have been drunk in the first place.
No.
And if you got into an argument, there are plenty of other places that you could have gone. You could have gone to the front desk. You could have tried to book another room for yourself. Because if you're over here trying to book a different room to prevent your child from staying in the room, then you probably could have afforded to book a room for yourself to leave.
The crazy thing is, the room for the child isn't even proper payment, because it's not like it's their own room they can hang out in. It's a room they have to share with all the children. So it's not
we don't even know how many there are, but there's more than one.
Exactly. So I'm like, that wasn't even a proper payment to throw in their face even. Like, come on this trip. You're going to have such a fun leisure time, but you're going to share a room with the children.
Yeah. So you're 24/7. You don't even get a break at night to sleep.
Yeah.
Hell no.
No, you are not the asshole.
But you're not the asshole, but I would say that you need to put better boundaries with your mom and say no next time.
Agreed.
Say hell no.
Okay. Goodness gracious. 2 for 2. You not the assholes.
Not surprised, because that's usually how it goes.
I know. All right. Am I the asshole for refusing to tell my roommate, I forgot, that I could hear her moan?
Refusing to tell her?
Yeah, refusing to tell my roommate that I can hear her moan. Interesting. Okay, let's see what were the consequences. Why did you have to tell her? Anyway. Oh, okay.
Very curious.
Male, 27, so this is a man, live in a 3-bedroom apartment, and I shared it with 2 roommates. One of them moved out, and the other roommate, a female, 29, took over the room. It is bigger.
Okay.
I have had very bad experiences with roommates. I could sit for hours talking about the horrors of it. When our roommate moved out, we decided we could wait with renting the new room until we find someone really good. We split the rent until then. The vents in our apartment made it that I could hear what happened in my roommate's. I think she has her bed literally below the vent. I have never been to her room. Really? Huh. And she is not a loud person, but yeah, I could hear it. At first I was embarrassed, but then I decided not to tell her because I didn't want to make her awkward and then she would move out. She's very shy. Then I would lose literally one of the best roommates I have ever had. She's clean, quiet, and we barely even see each other because she keeps mostly to her room. She makes the best food too, and she's generous enough to just leave some for me in the fridge when she knows I have exam periods. I don't want to risk it.
Oh no, we have one. We finally have one. Go ahead.
Let's see. When my girlfriend was visiting, I made the stupid decision to tell her. You told the girlfriend. Oh no. She went berserk calling me an A for cheating? Question mark? And threatened to tell her. What? I am very sure she would die of embarrassment and leave. I don't care what she does in her room. We are neighbors. I have never gone to my neighbors to tell them I can hear them moan. For me, that's a violation. Then there's an update. Interesting. Update. So I thought a compromise would work. So I texted my girlfriend that I would speak to my roommate and tell her about the funny quotation thing. I realized that the vents are leading sounds from her room and that I thought I should tell her. My girlfriend answered, or you could just tell her the truth. Why beat around the bushes about it? Why her feelings matter? Wow. Your girlfriend is a problem, period. Anyway.
Yeah.
His response, because we share an apartment and I don't want it to be awkward between us since she's been a good roommate and she's very shy. I don't want to make her uncomfortable. Girlfriend. So her feelings are worth more than mine? Got it.
Holy shit.
I told her no, and she said either I told her to stop for real or she will. No playing around. Just tell her the truth or she will. I will tell her the truth then or we are over. So I told her, if you tell her the truth, we are over. And that's where he leaves it. And there's
no other updates?
I'm looking in the comments. No other updates. You left us on a cliffhanger?
So what was the title of it again?
Okay, am I the asshole for refusing to tell my roommate that I can hear her moan? Really, mostly because it seemed to be an issue with his girlfriend.
Okay. Wow.
There's a lot.
Yes. Yes. Asshole's a strong word.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appropriate that you keep this to yourself. Regardless of whether she is shy, it's like letting somebody walk around with a booger in their nose. You don't want to embarrass them by telling them, but then you're embarrassing them more by letting them walk around with it and having countless people see it. The first time it happened, you should have said something. There's nothing wrong with her having a healthy sex life, whether it's self-pleasuring or having somebody over, but I'm pretty sure she wants to keep that private. It's her room. You would think the door's closed.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't hear those things. I do find it very interesting. I don't know what the layout of this apartment is, but it makes me wonder, like, can she not hear you then? Because doesn't it go both ways? And if she can hear you talking in your room, because, I mean, moaning, unless the girl's loud, which if she's loud, that's kind of her problem.
Know? Yeah.
But I'm assuming she can also hear stuff coming from your room because the vents go both ways. Yeah. So I don't know, like, again, there's nothing wrong with pleasuring yourself, having a healthy sex life, but I think male-female dynamics, it could get awkward. I think your girlfriend was assuming a lot.
Dude, she probably is cheating.
Well, because I think she, in her mind, took it to the extreme of like, he's over here pleasuring himself listening to her. And honestly, she has no way of knowing that. No, I do think that him confiding in her about it, period, is a good indicator that he's not over here taking advantage, because then why would he even tell you?
Exactly.
1, 2, she could also be assuming that this girl is doing it on purpose to entice him and seduce him. And so she doesn't give a shit about this girl's feelings, but obviously he does. And so as much as I don't think he's intentionally being an asshole, but I do think it's not appropriate to not say something. I think that there are ways that you can make it more comfortable. If you're not wanting to have a face-to-face conversation, maybe you write her a note, slip it under her door, and then you end the note by saying, we never have to talk about this.
But again,
you know what I
he
mean?
was terrified of, no matter how he brought it up, that she'd be so embarrassed she would leave.
But that's selfish.
No, agreed, agreed. And that's the thing, like, he had a good idea as how to approach it by, like, almost trying to make it like a, "Ha, ha, ha, guess what? Sound travels in our vents. Did you know that? Interesting." Anyway, like, he wanted to try to, like, he was trying to find a way to make it so that it wasn't like a straight out, "Hey, guess what? I heard you moaning while you were, you know, orgasming."
But he only did that after his girlfriend was pressuring him and basically gave him an ultimatum. This is something that first of all, he shouldn't have told his girlfriend, because that's not appropriate. You don't want to embarrass her, but yet you're spreading this information around. That makes you an asshole. 1. 2, he should have handled it, like I said, before telling the girlfriend.
Yeah.
And should have done it exactly like you said. Been like, hey, do you know that sometimes I can hear, he didn't even have to say the moaning. He could be like, I can hear you talking, or I can hear your phone when you're playing videos out loud, just so you know. And then she can put 2 and 2 together. She's a smart girl, which it seems like she is. That like, oh shit, maybe I need to be quiet.
Yeah.
Or maybe I need to close the vent.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think asshole is a strong word, but yes, especially because it's a male-female roommate dynamic. It was definitely not appropriate to not give her any indication that he can hear her, period. She needed to know. And I mean, him telling his girlfriend, I feel like you would tell Nick if that was happening. You're like, oh my God, guess what? Like, but not like it.
No, because, well, it's different. If it was another girl, hell no, I would never tell him that. No, I wouldn't. Especially if he's interacting with her, that would be very uncomfortable, and I think a betrayal to her.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Because I'm thinking separately, like him never seeing her. But you're right. She would be.
They live together. They're interacting.
Yeah.
He's never been to her room, but that doesn't mean that. I mean, she does all these sweet things for him. I get the whole like chisme, let's gossip and talk about it, and like, ooh, you know, kind of thing. But I think that's only in certain contexts where you're like. If I had a friend who was a wild child who, you know, was fucking guys and being loud and didn't care who heard, but he knows her personality. He knows that she's shy. He knows that she'd be embarrassed. And that especially is kind of like, dude, you need to tell her, because it would be one thing. Look, I've gone over a guy's house before when I was in my hoe day. And we had sex in the room and we weren't quiet, and he had roommates. Did I give 2 shits that they could hear us? No, I didn't. I walked out of that room with my head held high and my shoes in my hands. No. But the point is I'm not that person. I will never see these people again. I don't care what they think about me, so it doesn't bother me. However, if it is something that makes you uncomfortable and bothers you, and clearly he thinks that it would, then they should know, because that's just going to continue on. And for how long? It's going to be worse if she finds out later down the road that you've been listening this whole
because then
time.
Because then if I were her, I would be thinking, were you listening because you wanted to?
Exactly. He's at the end of the day, he's a man,
exactly,
and it's gonna cross your mind.
And it would have crossed the line as well, period. And see, I think for me, if he would have told his girlfriend, it would have been more of the first time it happened, if he wanted to tell her not to gossip, but almost like advice. How should I approach that? That's a different way. See, in my head, when I think it's okay to share it with your partner, it's not as in the like, oh my God, guess what? But again, I'm not that type of person. If I would have told my partner, it would have been more of like, so what should I, you know, kind of deal.
But he also waited too long, which then made her suspicious. He didn't do it after the first time. And honestly, like, do you not know who you're dating? Like, she obviously is not the right person to go to for advice.
Most men are dating women that they think are hot. Again, we've proven this theory.
True.
They don't care if they're toxic and dramatic. They're like, but she's hot. So, you know, they put up with it.
So, in conclusion, you're not the asshole, but you're definitely in the wrong here. So,
yeah,
fix
agreed.
it.
Agreed. Okay.
Don't be selfish just because you want to keep her as a roommate.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not fair to her either that if she thinks that that private moment is staying private and it's not,
Yeah.
it's more of a betrayal that she's not being informed of this.
And if she hears it from your girlfriend as opposed to you, the
Ooh.
embarrassment is going to be compounded, and then she will really leave.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be a doubt that she's going to stay, because
Exactly.
finding it out secondhand, hell no, I would leave. And
Yeah.
I'm not even embarrassed by stuff like that. But you sitting here talking to other people about it, I don't care what your reasoning is.
And you know that the girlfriend is not going to be gentle about it either.
No, she's going to be accusatory,
Exactly.
making it seem like this girl is doing it on purpose, even though she's doing it in the privacy of her own fucking room. Like, what is she supposed to do? Never pleasure herself?
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here. And also, you know she's going to do it. She's going to do it.
Oh, absolutely. She's waiting. She is literally like salivating, waiting for the moment.
It's true. All right, here's the last Am I the Asshole?
Okay.
It's a doozy. In the title alone, we don't know the story. Am I the asshole for ruining a wedding?
Yikes, how? Oh,
Holy
God.
shit.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, is this has to be the story of my wedding organizer, because she ruined my wedding.
Yeah.
This is her story.
You are the asshole then.
My wife and I own a catering company. Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
Our oldest son is 15 and helps a lot with events.
Okay.
He's autistic, but he's very capable when he's accommodated. Okay. We were contracted to cater a rehearsal dinner and a wedding. The rehearsal dinner was obviously much smaller than the wedding, with me, my wife, and our oldest. We could pull the whole thing off without using any employees and save a chunk of change. The wedding planner also hired a bartender to make drinks, as we don't offer that service. Our son was setting up the tables and chairs while my wife and I were unloading the food. The bartender asked my son to help him unload some boxes of wine, and my son said no. The bartender offered to tip him, and my son said that he can't touch alcohol. The bartender told him he was being difficult, and my son started ignoring him because that's how he responds to stress. The bartender tried to talk to him, and when my son continued to ignore him, he grabbed my son by the shoulder and shook him. What the fuck?
No.
My son ran to me and told me what happened. I called the police. The bartender started arguing with me. I kept telling him to wait for the police to arrive. My son went to my wife. When the bartender found out my son was 15, he got nervous and left before the police arrived. After the deputy showed up, and while I was talking to him, the wedding planner showed up to ask what was going on. I asked her to wait while I finished talking to the deputy. My wife and son had gone back to setting up after the bartender left. The wedding planner demanded I talk to her and tell her why the police were present. The deputy told her she had to wait. She stood by and listened to our conversation. I told the deputy what happened. He said since he didn't witness anything, he couldn't do anything. So useful. But to call him if the bartender returned. When the deputy left, the wedding planner called the bartender to ask him to come back. He said he wouldn't come back because he was worried I'd call the cops again. Ultimately, the rehearsal dinner had great food, but no alcohol. The wedding planner asked us to serve at least the wine and beer the bartender had brought, but we refused because A, we don't offer that service, and B, we aren't licensed to do that.
Exactly. They could get in trouble. And their business shut down.
And the stuff didn't belong to us, so he just left all that stuff there. After the dinner, the wedding planner went off on us. She said we ruined the event and that we were fired. I clarified with her that she didn't want us to show up to the wedding venue and cater the wedding, which was the next day. She said she didn't. I said, okay, we left. This is on the wedding planner, honestly. She escalated something that did not need to be escalated. My son actually filmed our conversation, and I watched it when we got home, and she was very clear. At 4 a.m., she called us to talk about the wedding because she done fucked up. I reminded her she fired us. She said we were already paid, so we had to show up anyway. I said she fired us. She said if we didn't show up, she would sue. I told her to sue. I also told her I had her on video firing us. We did not cater the wedding. I heard from the DJ that they ended up ordering pizza. The bride was apparently screaming at the wedding planner for half an hour about it. I actually feel a little bad because the bride didn't do anything. Maybe I was being petty and should have showed up anyway. We did not return any money as per our contract, and we ate or donated the food that had already been prepared. I know legally I did nothing wrong, but I feel like a bit of a dick. This is a tricky one, honestly. What do you think?
Because here's the thing. The wedding planner, absolutely in the wrong. And the thing is, it seems like she made these decisions without consulting the bride and the groom. She made a huge,
100%.
she made a huge decision that would affect the wedding greatly without consulting the people who are paying her and whose wedding it is. So her firing them and making that decision on her own and basically saying, don't come tomorrow, which was stupid. And she clearly knew it by the next morning. That wasn't her decision to make. But
No.
it sucks because, like he said, the bride, it was their wedding. This wasn't their fault. They didn't know.
Mhm.
They were kept in the dark. They weren't allowed to make any decisions based on what happened. I'm sure because the wedding planner assumed, like, that's my job. I got to shelter them from all the chaos and just make it a peaceful, beautiful day. Yeah, but then you had no bartender and no caterer. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah. So it's hard because he was right in the sense that his son was assaulted practically. And,
Mhm.
you know, he tried to explain the situation. He tried to do what was right. They could not serve alcohol. They would be fined and possibly lose their business because they weren't licensed to serve alcohol. So, yeah, the
100%.
wedding planner was trash, but it's tricky because the most important people in this scenario, which are the bride and groom, it wasn't their fault and they suffered the worst consequences.
Okay. As somebody whose own wedding planner ruined her wedding,
Yeah.
I will say, as unbiased as I possibly can with my own experience, this is totally on the wedding planner. One, it is not legal for a 15-year-old to be handling alcohol in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Two, not only is he a minor, which I understand that not every minor looks like a minor, but this is not your employee. You
No.
don't get to just boss around a random kid because he works for the catering company. That is not associated with you in any way, shape, or form. If you needed help, you should have found somebody to help you. You are providing a service.
Yep.
And you are being hired and paid to do that service. So if you needed somebody to help you unload your shit, you should have found someone to do that your damn self. That is not on this kid. But to take it a step further and actually physically touch him
and shake
Oh,
him. Ooh.
hell to the fuck no.
No.
Any parent in that situation would have gone off, and he's lucky he didn't get his fucking lights punched out.
Exactly. I would have castrated that man for touching my son and shaking him and knowing my son, period. But in addition, knowing how sensitive my son is as someone who is neurodivergent. Ooh. Ooh.
And I get that
Mama
this
bear.
bartender may not have known
But
that this kid was autistic.
agreed. But that definitely
But
didn't matter.
It doesn't matter whether he was autistic or whether he was anything.
I don't care if my
Seriously,
son was
anything.
18 years old. You don't put hands on someone.
No, you don't put hands on
Period.
anybody,
Exactly.
adult or child or
Exactly.
otherwise. That is not appropriate, and that is really unprofessional. And honestly, that's on the wedding planner because you hired that bartender who is completely unprofessional, who ran off on an event. Instead of yelling at the caterer, you should have fucking been yelling and threatening this bartender.
Exactly.
To sue him because the caterers were completely justified in the decision that they made to call the police. That man assaulted their son, and he tried to get a minor to handle alcohol. But clearly the wedding planner was just as unprofessional as the bartender because then she turned around and tried to get them to serve alcohol even though they were not licensed to do so, to cover her ass. It would have been easier for her to find a last-minute bartender who could come and serve alcohol at the wedding because the rehearsal, it was a done deal.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and honestly, as somebody who had no bartender at the wedding, you could have easily had an open bar situation in which people poured their own alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know the logistics of it, but I know that if somebody's going to serve the alcohol, they have to be licensed to do so. We just had like hard seltzers and
in the
you know, like
and in
and you go and you pick it up yourself. It would be the same thing as if you invited people over to your house and you offered them alcohol to drink. But even still, as the bride, I would rather have the food than the fucking alcohol. So me not having alcohol at the rehearsal dinner, it's a snafu. It's definitely a mistake, but it's not as big of a deal as not having food at your fucking wedding because the wedding planner went on a fucking power trip and decided to fire the caterer who was not in the wrong for doing what they did.
And not only that fuck up, but The fact of the matter is that because she fucked up so bad that they were able to still be legally protected, the bride and groom lost all that money too that they
Yep.
paid. In addition to not having food at their wedding,
So
they
what they need to do is sue the wedding planner. Honestly,
yeah.
because that is her job. She contracted this caterer, she contracted the bartender. They are her responsibility. And they have proof that she fired them. So
Yep.
it's not a matter of, oh, they just didn't show up and
Mhm.
broke contract.
Yep.
No, she is responsible. They have the proof that she fired them. Now, yes, I do think it's a little petty not to show up for the wedding, knowing that this had nothing to do with the bride and groom and they were innocent bystanders and collateral damage and all of this. I think that there could have been a way to handle this where you could have made it very clear that you are never going to be working with this wedding planner again and still done a solid for the bride and groom who should not have had to pay for this wedding planner's mistake.
Yeah. If anything,
At
that's
all.
yeah, and that just came to mind to me right now. I think the clear thing that should have been done is that after they got on film, her confirming that you're fired, so we're not coming tomorrow, you're fired, correct. Okay. Go find the bride and groom and explain
Yeah.
to them what just happened. Explain to them that because of your wedding planner, she's inferring that we don't show up tomorrow, so you're not
Yeah.
going to have food. How do you want to proceed with this? They definitely should have, and they could have explained, like, I don't feel safe with my son being anywhere near this woman. My son was violated practically. And
Yeah.
so, like, how do we move forward? Because granted, it's not you or your future husband's fault. You guys paid for this service. So yeah, they should have spoken immediately to the bride and groom separately and then informed them what was happening instead of just
Yeah, it just sucks because again, they're contracted with the wedding planner, not with the bride and groom. But I think out of courtesy, they could have gone, like you said, to the bride and
Yeah.
groom and honestly provided that evidence to them. Because
Yeah.
I would have been like, hey, if you want to get your money back that you paid for this wedding planner, here is, I mean, at least a portion of what you paid this wedding planner. We'll still show up, but just understand that contractually we're not obligated to because we were fired. So we're doing this as a solid for you because we don't want to ruin your day.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's this video, do with it what you want because
Yeah.
clearly this bride would have done something. She bitched her out for 30 minutes.
Rightfully so. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he's the asshole per se because
No.
I can imagine emotions were high. I mean, the police were involved. There was a lot going on. And at that point, I'm sure they just wanted to get the fuck out of there, go home, take their son out of that situation. They just were probably done and weren't thinking because clearly it seemed like after when they could calm down, he was like, oh, okay, now I feel a little bad though for the bride and groom.
Yeah, but mind you, all of this happened before the rehearsal dinner because the bride and groom weren't even involved in the situation. And he did say that they had food for the rehearsal dinner, but no alcohol. So they had all of that time.
That's true. They were there for
where they still fulfilled that obligation.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, the argument afterward, which she fired them, that stirred things back up again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no,
it just
I had
sucks 'cause-
forgotten.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that there was time between. In my head, it was all immediate. But no, you're right. They were there for still some time after the
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, no, never mind. I retract my point. There was
And-
definitely enough time to think about it and go, we should
Yeah.
probably let the bride and groom know what happened.
And then also, the wedding planner, oh my gosh, she should not be a wedding planner. She
No.
totally overreacted and acted really unprofessional because, mind you, I don't know what was said to her in terms of the rehearsal dinner. It didn't seem like there was any sort of confrontation because they weren't even at the wedding, but they found out that the bride bitched out the wedding planner for 30 minutes. So they were actually at the rehearsal dinner. So had there been a confrontation between the bride and the wedding planner of like, why do we not have a bartender? Why is there no alcohol? Then they probably would have mentioned that in this story. So if the wedding planner had just explained what had happened, I'm sure the bride would have been like, oh, that's really unfortunate, but that's on the bartender. Can you find someone else to bartend our wedding the next day? And if not, you know, the alcohol, again, it's nice to have, It's not that big a deal. The food is much bigger.
More important.
Because not only did they lose out on that money, they had to pay extra money to get pizzas for everybody.
God.
So it's one of those things where it's like, you really decided to die on this hill and you chose the wrong hill. And you as a wedding planner should know that. You should know that the food is way more important than the alcohol, and that finding a bartender at the last minute would probably be way easier and doable. They're mixing the drinks live. It's not like they have to prepare ahead of time. Just idiot. It was an idiot move. She was probably really pissed off that they refused to serve the alcohol and was
not good at problem solving and keeping her cool under stress, because clearly she went hog wild emotionally and just like
she was really unreasonable. You know what I would have done if I was that wedding planner? I would have conducted the rehearsal dinner, which really does itself. There's really not much to the rehearsal dinner that you need to be in charge of. It's more of the pre-planning. Once the rehearsal dinner happens, people are mingling, if there's a schedule, you just keep things on schedule and that's it. Meanwhile, in between all of that, I would have been texting every fucking person I know. Do you know a bartender? Do you know somebody that can come tomorrow for this wedding? I just lost my bartender. I would have been communicating with my bride and groom, telling them everything that's going on, like letting them make the decisions because it's their day.
Exactly. And if you're a wedding planner and a decent one, you have networking contacts. So like you said, being on the phone, obviously reaching out to the network contacts you do have to problem solve, because that's part of your job. She was a shit wedding planner.
There are too many of those out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know it's a stressful job, but
it is. It's very.
Don't do it if you can't.
No, I almost did it. I was an unofficial wedding planner for like 4 weddings because everyone and their mother was like, "Oh my god!" And I was contemplating doing it professionally at one point. Thank God I didn't go that route, because I would have cut a bitch. Anyway.
But you would have gotten paid, because the wedding industry is a $1 billion industry. It is
it's too stressful though. Too stressful.
No,
and too really social. Too social. And we know me. I finally came into my own and realized, I have social anxiety. What the fuck am I doing? No.
But you can deceive people. You can really put it on.
Theater.
And thick too.
Theater.
Girl, because with me, even when I'm trying, everybody's like, "What's wrong with your face?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I really want to be here." That was fun. Those were some doozies. We finally got some ones that were a little bit of a gray area.
They were clearly not the assholes.
I like that. Well, friends, this was a fun one. I'm going to take over Desiree's job right now.
Do it.
And let you know, wherever you're listening to this or watching this, please like, subscribe, comment, leave a review for us on any of the podcasting platforms. You can either review the episode or you can review the entire podcast as a whole. And that really helps us with the algorithm on these podcast platforms to allow other listeners to find our content. And hey, they may like it. You never know. But if you're watching this on YouTube, also subscribe, like, comment, do all of the things. If you're going to comment, please be respectful. If you don't like us, that's totally fine. You can just be like, "I disagree. I don't like this take." Or you can be like, "I don't like listening to these girls." And then you can listen to the millions and thousands of other podcasts that are out there. You don't have to listen to us, and you don't have to leave a nasty comment, because I'll rip you to shreds. Or I'll at least say, "Thank you for your engagement," because you help us by doing that. You help us by
really
us.
So you're the thing you hope to do to stick it to us, you're actually doing the opposite. You're still helping us.
Oh, totally. We had a comment on Instagram the other day, something like millennials thinking that they invented mental health. Mind you, it was on a clip which we clearly talked about how previous generations paved the way for us to take advantage and progress mental health the way that it has been.
And even I remember one of the clips of that same episode was me reiterating and you laughing. So
it was that one. It was that exact clip. But mind you, they had no picture. And then when I went to their profile, they had like 7 followers. And I was like, clearly this is a bot or a troll or somebody. So I didn't even bother. I didn't waste my energy in commenting, even to say thank you for your engagement. But we've had comments in the past that were not respectful and
yeah.
they disagreed with our opinion, and that's okay. You
Yeah.
can respectfully disagree and tell us why, because we actually want to know,
Yeah.
other than, you know, like you're brainwashed about how great Taylor Swift is. There has to be another legitimate reason other than that.
Yeah.
Okay?
A valid one. So, friends, here's a little call to action. Do you have any of your own Am I the Asshole stories? Have you ever experienced something that you're going, Am I the asshole for doing this, saying this? We would love to react and let you know
Love.
what we think, not to claim whether you're an asshole or not, but just curiosity. Share your stories. We love hearing from you guys. Again, you can comment on YouTube, on Instagram, on any of the podcast platforms that offer comments as well. Come chat with us. We love chatting with you. So, friends, thank you
Yes.
guys so much for hanging out with us this week. This was a lot of fun, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nee, 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 nee. I did it this time.
Yay.